Thank you so much for being here. Just like Steve said, you know, Sal and I have always had this mentality and this mindset, and a lot of people here will tell you that we share everything, and a lot of people, for some reason, maybe dislike that. There's people that dislike that, but there's people that love us for it. So you're not always going to win everybody, right? Because why? There's people that actually charge to educate, you know, people, and that's how they survive and make a living. But you know, our life's purpose is to like literally change people's lives, you know, mentally, spiritually, and financially, you know, in God's name. So that is what we're about, and that's what our message is about. And we're here to serve you. So we don't want to talk too much about ourselves. I want to be able to answer every single question that each of you have, God willing, in the right amount of time. So let's get going. You know, I'll make a quick introduction. It's funny. And I'll make a quick introduction. Some of you may know my story. Some of you may not. I'm an immigrant from Mexico. The first time that I came to California, I was snuck in with a fake birth certificate. And the second time, I was, you know, it didn't work out financially with me, my single mom, and my brother. And then we went back to Mexico, and I started bagging groceries, and my mom started working at a resort, and we saved enough money for her to come to Phoenix. And then I snuck in through a small fence in Nogales. You know, I literally snuck in. There was a little hole, and I was like about 14 years old, and I snuck in, and then they picked me up at the McDonald's. I was a pretty big boy at 14. You know, and it was crazy. I actually grew up like some of these guys here. They're from the same park that I grew up in, Verde Park on 9th Street in Van Buren. These guys right here, they're from the same neighborhood that I grew up in. You know, so they saw, like, a lot of people, you know, they have these stories about, oh, no, you weren't broke and you weren't poor and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, some of the guys that I grew up with are literally right there, and now they're looking to get into wholesaling, thank God, and here we are. So met Sal in 2013, became best friends. And 2014, we said, hey, you know, let's really consider doing something together in business. And then in 2015, which was 3.5 years ago to this day, we started grinding. We started reaching out to everybody and anybody who was doing anything. And a lot of people, I'll be quite honest with you, they didn't give us a time or a day, you know. There was maybe 1 or 2 people out of 100 that said, okay, yeah, let's sit down for lunch. So my door is always open at the office. His door is always open at the office. And people here can attest to that. I don't care if you make $0 or I don't care if you make $1 million. We will always treat you the same, and our doors are always open to you guys. So just keep that in mind, and I'll let Sal take over from here.
It's kind of hard to beat that, right? So Carlos and I became best friends. By the way, my name is Sal Shakir. I'm an immigrant from Iraq. I'm Catholic from Iraq, so you don't meet many of those. Facts. But we did become best friends in 2013. We partied a lot, 2014, and we wanted to do business together. And I saw this guy hustling. I remember he was working at this place, and he was working like his own place. And I'm like, we should do something together. You know, I have a property I sold and whatnot. And some of you guys heard the story. And we actually started fixing and flipping before wholesaling. And then we start writing these checks left and right. Now, mind you, I've been in business for over 10 years now. I own a car dealership, and that's kind of my business mentality that I have. So if you hate car dealers, you probably should walk out. But anyway, enough said about this. I did, you know, I worked with every job you can think of. I did plumbing, I did painting, I worked with the U.S. Army for 3.5 years. I helped train the U.S. Army with the set of skills that I have, you know, with the nothing bad. But, you know, just the language and the training, what to expect to be deported, well, not deported, or when they get deployed. And various jobs, you know, business ventures, and now we have multiple businesses, thank God, Carlos and myself. And our purpose in life nowadays is actually to deliver as much value as we can, because our why is completely different than last year or the year before that and the year before that. So before we get into rabbit holes and whatnot, we're here for you guys and to answer every single question, because we can talk literally we can talk all day, and they're gonna have to lock us out this place. So we want to make sure that we answer every single question for you guys before we leave this place. So we're not really gonna talk about our operation unless you ask us. Is that fair enough? Corey is first in line.
You know what? I'll say just briefly. I'll briefly say this about our operation, right? We're in 8 markets, and I'll be quite honest with you guys. It's not sexy to virtually wholesale, okay? Just like a lot of people think fixing and flipping is sexy, it's not sexy to really fix and flip. You know, it really is not. Once you really develop a system for wholesaling, fixing and flipping, I mean, that's probably about 5% of our business now. It's really a pain in the butt, you know, with remodeling and contractors not being dependable, and you know, inspections and financing and you name it, and market adjustments and appraisals, and you guys know the deal, right? And I'm not discouraging people from fixing and flipping, because there's a lot of massively successful fix and flippers. You just got to have a system, whether you're wholesaling or whether you're fix and flipping. You got to have a system, and you got to have reliable personnel on your team. So if our operation, like I said, 95% wholesale, 5% fix and flip, multiple markets, virtually wholesaling. Some of our team is here, and we do lock up most of our deals 99.999% over the phone. We were one of the first people to actually, and Jesse will tell you, because we started around the same time Jesse started. Our company started with his company. With his company, we ventured off. Like, we were so, I'm not going to say cheap, but we were so scared of marketing at the time that we went on several marketing ventures with Jesse's company. And we marketed to the Hispanic population. And then I was the acquisitions guy, right? And
so we marketed Hispanic letters to, we thought, Hispanic neighborhoods. A lot of white folks called. They said,
remember those recordings?
I think we still have them now. This is America.
This is America. It was honestly,
We got deals.
We did.
He crushed it, actually.
So I'll give you guys the numbers on our first 2 campaigns. $2,500 spent the first campaign, $90,000 produced. Second campaign, we loosened it up a little bit and did $3,000 worth of mail, and we probably got like 60 something. So we crushed it, and then our companies just kind of took off in separate directions after those, you know, with him, Jared, Danny at the time. But those were really fun times, because why? For those of you that are new here, enjoy the grind. Like, truly, truly, truly enjoy your first year, because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. Yes, you're going to level up, and it's going to be a different type of growth at some point. But just like I said yesterday on the show, physically, you know, a newborn baby grows the most it's ever going to grow in its first year. That applies to our careers as wholesalers and fix and flippers. So try to enjoy. I know it may seem hard. It may seem, you put out, you know, 1,000 bandit signs and you get 10 phone calls. You send out $3,000 worth of letters and you may not land a deal, but just embrace it and stay positive and keep moving forward, right? So what I always like to say is literally, like, what transformed us as entrepreneurs and businessmen is we had a vision, we created the vision, we committed to the vision, we sacrificed absolutely everything, and we never gave up. And there was plenty of times where we could have gave up. And I'm sure that in your journey, there's times now where you want to give up, and there's times in the past where you wanted to give up, and there may be times in the future where you want to give up. But if you don't give up and you truly stay the course, things will eventually get out of the way for you, and things will work out. Okay?
Just know that we did freak out. I remember when we freaked out at one point, and we actually went ahead and met up at a restaurant for breakfast. I forgot the name of the place. And we said, if we're gonna pass this, we're gonna go through this, everything will be fine. Remember that day?
Yeah.
What's that place called? Daily Dose. And that's like, it was hard times because we didn't know what was gonna happen. You know, our funds are low, like toward the marketing that we said, everything. Traction. Yeah, there was no traction. It was just Carlos and myself at that point. And you know what, if we went ahead and stopped doing what we were doing because we didn't believe in the system, But there's proof out there. We saw the
let's
proof.
talk about David Rod.
Yeah.
You remember David Rod?
David Rod.
To me,
That
that will
crushed our-
always, right? So
David Rod crushed.
he
our
crushed your
first-
dreams.
He did. Well, actually, he dinged our dreams. So what happened is we first tried to buy when we started as fix and flippers. And we meet this guy that's the HUD god of Arizona, David Rod. I mean, you know,
He's Irish, very, very wealthy, successful guy. Respect to him, but he'll tell you what happened when we met.
He literally said that, yeah, oh, this is stuff. What are you guys trying to get? And oh, this is bad, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of like that.
I can say
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's about them. Let's have them ask us questions, but just don't be scared. I'm gonna have him finish this. We don't want to go on rabbit holes like we said earlier, because we can do this all day long. But David Rod.
Yeah. So raise your hand if somebody in your journey has said, hey, this just isn't going to work. Raise your hand if you will always remember that person. I clearly remember exactly where we were, which was Union Hills and 21st Avenue, south of Union Hills. This guy was selling a HUD property because he's the king of HUD. You know, you guys know that, right? And we're like, oh my God, this looks like a good deal. You know, we had, I'm not gonna lie to you, we didn't have a lot of money. You know, we were praying for one of those cosmetics, you know what I mean? Like, right? Yeah, those, it needs very little, and let's pray to God that we find the right lender and whatever. Then we walk up to this guy and we walk the house, and Sal and I are looking at the house. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is like $30,000, right? The pool was all jacked up. I mean, the roof was all jacked up.
Like money. I mean, there was money to be made. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it looked good. But then David Rod goes, so what are you guys trying to do? I said, well, we're trying to fix and flip this house. At this point, we have 0 transactions. He said, oh man, he's like, oh, those days are over. Literally. He said, those days are over. You cannot make money trying to do what you're trying to do. Literally said that 3.5 years ago. You know what I mean? It was insane. It was insane. And I guess we can invite him, and yeah, but anyway, I will forever remember that day because Sal, and I'm not gonna throw you under the bus.
Go ahead. I'm all over the book.
Sal was crushed. Sal was like, oh my God, like imagine like having your dreams, right? Like you got these huge dreams. You're like, this is it. This is what we're gonna do. This is, real estate is where we're gonna go. And this guy tells you, this guy that's like very successful, and he's still very successful, tells you this is just not gonna work. Don't do it. Well, Sal's like pacing back. This guy leaves, and he took a shit on us and left, right? He didn't even wipe his ass on the way out. And Sal's just pacing back and forth in the front yard, right? And I'm like, Sal, I'm like, fuck that guy. Like let's continue to dig, let's continue to go for this, man. Don't let this guy, and I just, boom. I'm telling you this, right? And I'll finish with just saying this. Even when we got our first deal and we got completely raped by the title agency, by the wholesaler, by the agent that found the wholesaler.
We made like 14 grand though.
I was 12.
Well, I think it was 14. The taxes don't count the taxes.
Yeah. So even on the second one, we got completely raped, and Sal was like, I'm not doing this. We got to go draw up a check for 20 grand. And he's like, I'm not going. I'm like, Sal, I don't give a shit. I'm picking you up and we're doing this. And he's like, I just don't like to get taken advantage of. I've been in business way too long, because, he was selling, at that point, he had his car dealership. And he's like, I've been in business way too long to be just taken advantage of. Everybody's just taking advantage of us. I'm like, Sal, we're doing this. Take it out of my cut. I don't give a shit. And then we said, you know what? All right, fuck it, let's do it. Went to the title agency, did our first flip. We made 12 to 14,000. I was so broke at the time that Sal actually paid the taxes on that, because we did our first flip under his name, okay? And then our second one was we paid. So at that point, we paid out the agent, we paid out the wholesaler that found it. And we were asking the agent, wholesaling made no sense to us. We're like, how did they find this house? Oh, go ahead. Do you always, go ahead. This guy's,
So we found this property from my friend.
what's his name?
My friend Larry, he's a broker, and one of his agents named Sina.
Sina.
And Sina's Persian, mind you. And he said, buddy, they send mail, they call them, and they get the property, and you pay them. And I'm like, and then you pay me. And I'm like, all right, I guess let's do it. And then, I mean, we do our second deal. We're like, what the hell is this? We're paying checks to these anonymous people. I mean, Jared and them, Jesse, and we paid you guys $15K.
Litchfield Park.
15K. So what we did, we were savages. What we did is, we're like, we want properties now because we're looking for properties and it's hard. So we paid Jalen for a property for 10 grand. I don't know if you know Jalen White. And then that deal almost falls apart, and then Carlos has to save it. It's a nightmare of a deal. And then they hear about, oh shoot, they pay money up front? Let's do it. So we paid them $15K up front. Don't ever do that because deals might fall apart, right?
Even the title age, remember?
Yeah, the title is just like, let me ask you, why do you do this? Like literally in this, like we just want.
Nobody does this.
Why do you want to do this? And we're like, we just want to buy properties. Anyway, so fast forward, now we're wholesaling. Now we know what the mail and the buddy means, and that's what exactly meant.
I'll say this. So let's go into our wholesale venture, right? Because fix and flipping, to be quite honest with you, was just not working out. And we at this point, we were willing to do whatever it took. And I started following Nick Reyes. Raise your hand if you know Nick Reyes. He will be at our event, Momentum, February 22nd. There's a few people that have came to the event and from Arizona, and thank God, they're doing well. Pace is one of them. Pace Jordan, right? Pace Jordan? What's his last name? Pace Jordan. Pace Morby. Yeah, he's a great guy. Not Jordan, okay.
Hamza's here.
Hamza came to the event. Hey, guys, real quick. This guy used to be a security guard making how much an hour? $12 an hour. And he cleared 6 figures last year. He quit his security job, and he's a full-time wholesaler now. So, all right.
Guys, the guys from Iraq, there was no bias or anything, but the guys from Iraq, and you know what? He has a thick accent. He looks Arab as hell, and he door knocked, and he got his deals door knocking.
That was my first one.
That's his first deal. So I hear people like, oh, I tried it. I need to hire VAs to do it for me. Well, how many deals have you done? None. So you want someone from India to lock up deals for you? This man right here is from Iraq. Your English is a lot better when we first met. Since we first met. And it's a lot better now. Before it was, it was very broken. And not to like take a shit or, it's just like saying that the man is dedicated and
Second language too.
yeah, I didn't speak English when I came here. So, but he's clearing 6 figures by himself and he's door knocking.
Or he was.
Well, he's doing everything now, but
I'm doing everything.
yeah. So, I want a round of applause for this guy. I just want good job. Huh?
So anyway, started following Nick Reyes. Yeah, started following Nick Reyes, and honestly, like, I was just so obsessed with wholesaling. I was so obsessed. I'm up in Flagstaff, and there's a webinar that he's throwing, and we all love the free webinars, right? We all love them. They're free because everybody else is charging an arm and a leg. So he's throwing this webinar, and I have T-Mobile at the time, and T-Mobile was really shitty, and I had no service. So I had to use my mother-in-law's phone, who had AT&T. So I'm taking notes with my T-Mobile, and I'm watching the webinar live with her phone that works, right? This is Nick Reyes. And then I'm like, I really like this guy, right? I fucking love his content. He's teaching all this stuff for free. And then I read his book, Flip, and then I started putting out bandit signs, Fridays from 11 p.m. to 2 to 3. You remember those days, right? And 400 bandit signs later, boom, I get a phone call from Maryville to 3-1. I sold that deal to a guy named Brian Ponciano. And he was arguing with me. I'll tell you what. He's like, what? He's like 93,000 for a 3-1 in Maryville? Admit it, that seems pretty high in What was that, late 2015, right? Yeah, that seems pretty high in 2015.
But that was
At that point, you're getting,
6 months of trying wholesale.
at that point, yeah, I mean, we were 6 months just going hard at this wholesaling thing. 400 bandit signs later, by the way, these were all handwritten bandit signs because, to be quite honest with you, we didn't really have the marketing budget, okay? And these are all handwritten bandit signs. Fridays, 100 bandit signs minimum. And then we get this phone call from this lady. She's Hispanic. She has a rental property, and it's just kind of a pain in the ass. And she sold it to us for 88. For 88, we only made 5,000 on our first deal. So, I hounded her, and then I'm like, okay, I got it on the contract. It was like the most.
Yeah, we have to sell
It was.
Brian. Like
It was the most
water.
amazing. Who remembers your first deal under contract? You guys just remember them just signing that paper, right? I'm at a Starbucks in West Phoenix, and I'm like, oh my God, this is happening, right? This is really happening. I'm like, this is amazing. And I had a feeling like this was taking a turn for the better, So then I don't even know how to sell this property, right? We don't know how to sell these properties. So I'm looking at Facebook, and at this time, I'm kind of just following people, and just like everybody else in here is following other people that are doing deals. Brian Ponciano's doing deals, and I start bombarding him with messages, and he's like, what? 93 grand for a 3-1? Hell no. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wait a minute. I said, my buddy Jared has 2 rehabs going on the same block. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, they're already under contract for like 100 and something, whatever. And, 140 on the same block, 2 houses down, right, from you, south of the 10. And then he's like, well, if what you say is true, I want to walk the property. So then he walks the property. He's like, I'll take it for 93. And then he adds a bathroom and makes $35K. I fought him to make him money. And that is what it's going to take from everybody in here. You're going to have to be persistent, and you're going to have to truly, truly believe in what the hell you're doing, right? Because if you don't believe what the hell you're doing, nobody else is going to believe what the hell you're doing. I literally fought this guy tooth and nail to buy my first wholesale deal, and he made $35K, and I made $5K, and I'm very happy about that. So, and the rest is history, and forever, I'll be forever thankful that he trusted my word. That thank God I knew that Jared just happened. It was just literally God's, what do you call that? It was God's wink, like Jared, a good friend of mine, and Jesse and Danny have 2 properties on the same block. And I'm trying to convince this guy, no, please buy this house. It's a 3-1, but if you convert it into a 3-2, it's going to do this. And that's exactly what happened. So, that's our first wholesale deal in the book. So, anything else you got, Sal?
Well, it's their time now.
Yeah, let's get some questions going. Sir?
I want to talk about the cold calling. So I have created my own call center now, running about 7 cold callers. You guys are right, Mojo sucks.
Thank you. We told you that how many months? April. We told you that in April.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for years.
Can you
Okay.
go with the all-in dialer and what that?
All-in dialer.
Well, it's Zen call.
Zen call.
But
So I'll give you guys, I'll tell you what happened, because a lot of folks think like, so this is a service, right? allindialer.com. It's literally Zen call, Xencall. So since we have a call center and we have over 100 agents, we literally said, hey, if you give us a good deal, we can bring more. They wanted to charge $150 a seat. If you give us a good deal, we'll bring you more people. He says, well, if you bring me more people, then I'll give it to you guys at $90 a pop. So then I just start telling everybody about it. Wholesaling Houses Full Time said, hey man, you can't be advertising on here. I'm like, dude, I'm not making any money off this. I'm just giving people $90 for Zen Call, the best cold calling software in the country. You know what I mean? We went Zen Call, we went we went Mojo, Whitetail, Zen Call. Okay? Take it from 2 guys with Jared and Danny, this is our venture, that have been added. How much money have we spent on this call center? God knows.
right now.
Huh?
Hundreds, right?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars into this call center, right? Through training, agents, software. We freaking buy, desks, chairs, computers, headsets, like you name it, we did it, right? So take it from guys that have done Mojo and done Whitetail. There's no better software out there right now than ZenCall. And if you go to allindialer.com, you'll get the same price that we get, which is $90 a seat. And it does everything. You want to, since he's a systems guy, Sal, the
I think
systems
his question is
Shakir.
different. Let's see what his question.
Through the computer or is it calling to the phone?
The computer.
Well,
So
we have a problem with call tools. Call tools calls to the computer also, and it sounds like your robot call when you get cold call from call tools.
okay, so Cold Tools is an okay software, but ZenCall is literally what call centers use. Whitel, ZenCall, that's what you, and 5.9, those are the softwares that you're trying to go after. You don't want to go for Mojo and whatnot. Mojo, by the way, if you think Mojo is a good software, you're in the wrong, you're totally wrong. Because Mojo does this, I'll tell you what. You call Mojo, it calls your phone, then you answer your phone, and then it dials someone else, and through that dial, it goes through them, then it goes through you to talk to them. Do you think there's a delay there? Oh, there's a fucking delay.
A few seconds.
Excuse my French. Now, Mojo was invented. You call Mojo, like, give me a discount. Fuck you, they hang up with the phone on you. Number one, because they don't care. They have a lot of people, right? Mojo doesn't have DIDs. DIDs is, if I want to call San Francisco, if I want to call Texas, if I want to call, I buy what's called DIDs. It's called,
Who knows what DIDs are?
okay, good. One person, two people know. Guys, so you want to be successful? If you're calling, if you're calling, we call multiple states. So if I dial you from a 480 number, or I dial you from a 702 number, would you answer the 702 more likely or the 480 number? Okay, so we have DID. That software has DIDs. So does Mojo have that? No. Mojo, you put one number and it dials everybody from the same thing. So what if you were calling someone who's an absentee, who lives in a different state, who has a different area code, but it's the same list that you downloaded in Arizona, right? Or whatever state you're in. But their number is 909. Do you want to call them with a 480 number or a 909? So what you do is you buy DIDs. So the software knows that number that you're dialing, recognizes it, and it calls them with that number. And guess what happens? You miss the call, it's cool. It drops a voicemail instantly. Right? You don't have to click drop voicemail. If you're dialing 3 dial ratio, 10 dial, they give you 10 dial ratio, so you can dial 10 people at a time, which is, I don't recommend it. But it drops a voicemail like a ringless voicemail.
What is the best ratio you recommend?
3 to 1 ratio is the best ratio, guys. So, but if 2 people answer at the same time, or 2 people didn't answer or whatever, it drops a voicemail, like a ringless voicemail, instantly, without you clicking anything. So that happens instantly. So guess what happened? That's a plus. Then you have, if someone calls you back, you don't have to route it the old way to CallRail, where it goes to a voicemail, and oh God, you have to filter through 1,000 FUs, right? No, it goes back in the queue, and whoever is available will answer that call live. It's a call center software. Then you can have whisper. You can talk to an agent right there and then, like, hey, say this. You can have call routing. You can have recording. Mojo charges you for users. I don't know how I'm supposed to call without having a user. You can literally buy a license, and then it says, add a user, $10. Well, how am I supposed to call without adding a user, for God's sake? Then you want recording? Oh yeah, we got you. Add more $10. And does it have all the extra stuff? It does not have that extra stuff. So why does Mojo sucks? Because it fucking sucks. All right, so next.
Raise your hand if you're using Mojo. Don't be ashamed. Jesus Christ. You know how much money you guys have lost out on?
Oh, and oh, by the way, hold on. To get those features from Mojo is probably like $140. And not all the features. You get like 60% of the features. With the ZenCall, with allindialer.com, you get these features plus extra stuff that I talked about for $90. Right, you have a question there.
Call Tools, you're familiar with it, so what's the difference between you and Call Tools?
Well, Call Tools is, it's a good platform. It looks sleek and sexy, but who cares about sleek and sexy? You care about performance.
Yeah.
ZenCall, so I like ZenCall because their UI department is there, their development department is there, their marketing department is there, their sales, they're from Canada. They're the nicest people. I mean, I like talking to Canadians. They're nice. And who's from Canada here? Oh, we have some Canadians, yeah. So shout out. So They've answered every single question I needed, and they've implemented every single thing I needed without putting me through the system. And you know what? When there was, if I had a problem, they solved it right there and then. And as we know, by the way, guys, we run a call center that has 100 plus agents. So an hour down in the system, you know how much that costs? Okay.
That's happened with Whitetail.
So Whitetail, we're like, oh shit, you guys have a lot of people. Our server is heating up. We're gonna switch it to another server. We're like, okay, switch it.
Doing recordings.
Yeah. No, hold on. And then we switched it. Then something else happened. They switched to another server. Then all of a sudden, our QA is like, I can't hear recordings. Where's the recordings? They're like, oh, we had to take that option away from you. You're too big. And you know what? You can go to it by going into every single one by one. Like, yeah, it takes you literally like 3 minutes to get into like a recording. We're trying to do like thousands of calls, QAs, right? So they stopped because they couldn't handle the capacity of that. See, that's a company, and I stood behind Whitetail the longest time. But now I can tell you what, that you can't stand behind a company that limits itself because your growth. If you overgrew that company, that means their capability of produce or giving you a value is limited now. Zenco doesn't have that. Zenco is literally built to do one caller to thousands of calls. I don't know millions, but hundreds of thousands of callers. So Whitetail gave us a limit of 5 people minimum, which it was 10 people. With us fighting tooth and nail, they gave us 5 people. So call tools, now going back to call tools, I've tried it, it's okay.
I honestly hate it. But the reason why I asked is when you say it's through the computer, I had an actual issue in the office that I was working with, is that they heard everything around me using the computer calling than me.
Easy fix. So
What's the difference?
you just go to Amazon, buy noise cancellation headsets, spend like $30, your problem's solved.
That's literally it.
That's it.
Really.
That's it.
That used to happen.
And you know what? You're saving more than $30 the first month. You know,
I mean,
with it
one
done.
deal, you cover all of it. So I mean,
Yeah.
How long have you guys been using the Zen?
It's been well, we're converting. We're beta testing it for over a month now, because we're still using Whitetail. Because they limited us with like the recording and whatnot. So we're literally beta testing everything, and everything that put through the test passed. Right now we ruled it out for our call center.
I'll add to that. So we know a couple folks that actually own call centers, and I'll be quite honest with you. Right off the bat, they said, because we were, these guys. So Chris, my buddy Chris out in California, this guy has a massive cold calling operation. This guy imports farmer tools from China and cold calls the shit out of everybody, all the farmers in the Midwest. And he cleared like 20 mil last year on just doing that.
So I think we have 20 minutes.
Oh.
I want to make sure we
Oh,
answer
shit.
every
Okay,
question
hold-
before we leave. So I don't
All
want to
right.
get stuck at one subject.
Yeah, so real quick, we started cold calling for him because his cold calling is for the tools, right? He didn't want to like mix both. And he goes, why aren't you using ZenCall? And this is when we started with him. And we're like, well, we'll look into it, but we're looking into call tools. We have Whitetail, blah, blah, blah. He's like, dude, look into ZenCall, right? And then these problems started happening with Whitetail.
And the deal I worked, it took me a lot. He knows. How much did it take me to work that deal?
A lot to broker the deal off.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we had to let
understand.
them know, like, hey, we throw these events, we have massive people, blah blah blah.
did not wanna budge.
And I will be honest with you, the first time that we announced it, the guy called. He called you, right?
Well, he thought I was bluffing. I'm like, I'm gonna send you people. Like, look, I want I want to get a good price. The reason for me, like, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted a good price.
Well, you're an Arab.
I wanted a good price. So, but guess what? I told him one thing. I'm like, if I'm gonna go ahead and get this good price, rule number 2 is like my ask is if I bring people in toward your way, they have to be taken care of. They can't be telling me that this is bad, that you're not taking care of them, that you're not getting back to them. He's like, I promise you this. So the first time we promoted it, he actually fulfilled every single order. And I'm like, you know what? You passed the test. Now we can actually vouch for you. So, but before that, I did want a good price. I'm not gonna lie. We're all in the business, and I'm a negotiator. I'm a car salesman. I hate car salesmen, by the way. I hate lawyers. If you're a lawyer and car salesman, it's just when I was born, it's bad, but I became one of them. So, It is what it is. But this is, I mean, guys, we're just giving you value. It's their own system. We don't give a shit. Use them or not. But we're just telling you, Mojo fucking sucks.
So, and we're running, Steve, how long are you allowed to have us in here? 6:30. Okay, we got some time.
If we stay extra, what's the penalty?
I mean, we can pay for the extra,
How about
extra
this?
30
If we
minutes.
stay extra, we haven't answered every single one's question. We'll actually pay for the extra. Because I want to make sure everybody's question is handled.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
All right.
Okay.
Next question, sir.
Are you allowed to target people on Facebook that are losing their home like foreclosures? Or why am I not seeing those really?
So, I mean, you can answer this one too.
Can you ask the question again so everybody can hear you?
Facebook.
Can I target through Facebook people like, hey, you're losing your home, call me? Is that something that you can do, or is that?
Facebook is social media. Anything in social media is legal, by the way. Unless they restrict you, it's not illegal. Unless it's bad stuff.
I'm not allowed to do a lot of other advertising like.
See, it limits you, but that's not a problem. You can have entities that's owned by you, but it's owned by another entity. There's two partners. Very easy stuff. You can have an entity in Delaware. I can give you the contacts. No one knows who you are. Easy peasy. Promote through that. When you lock up a contract, Delaware, no one knows who you are. Lock up the contract. Happy. And you know what? It's Facebook. Who's going to dig in through it? If they're losing their home and they see an ad, they're clicking on it. You know what? It's marketing. You're not.
Marketing do you guys put through Facebook ads?
I'm going to get through that, but I'm going to tell you something. Cold calling is illegal.
Illegal? RVMs are illegal.
RVM is illegal.
Bandits aren't illegal.
Well, I can give you a lawyer's interview, but cold calling is illegal. There's a lot of people on the DNC list. If you scrub your list against that, you probably have 10 people to call. Well, who wants to do that? You know, did we do that? So have a Delaware LLC. But how do we do it? What was the question?
How much money do you spend
How
on
much
Facebook?
budget would you guys put on?
On Facebook, we have $7,000 budget right now. Yeah,
How much?
$7,000 right now. Yeah, this is New Year.
No. So,
A month.
you know, and I'll be quite honest with you, when we initially started our Facebook campaigns, it was mostly for just branding, branding. And then we saw you can actually reach out to her. Her name is Tiffany Burns. She's one of our mentees. We took on a couple mentees this past year. And Tiffany Burns, she kills it. She's from Columbus. She kills it on Facebook, and him and I are looking at each other like, Jesus, this girl's killing it on Facebook, right? So then we ran a different strategy on Facebook.
No, I got it.
Oh,
You have to
okay,
get me on this one.
there you go.
So I call this guy that's handling her Facebook account, and you know what he says? Let me look into it. You guys seem like you're headed a different direction, but let me look into it with my business partner. Then he calls me back 2 days later. He's like, we're sorry. We're not going to be able to run your Facebook ads like you wanted to.
Why?
Because we're like, we own magnusdigital.com. We're a marketing company as well. And I think he felt threatened by that. But Carlos and I literally wanted to give him the business for at least 6 months to try it out. But guess what happened? He saw us as a threat and said, I'm not going to do it. I don't think it was bad. And maybe smart business decision from him. But the very, very next day, we actually learned everything about his business and we launched it. Could he have made money? We were literally going to do it because ethically, that's something that he didn't tell us about it, by the way. We just crawled through his site and stuff like that and saw what he's doing. He smiles because he knows. And we're like, okay, well, this is easy. We're going to do it 10 times better. This is a piece of cake. But, this is what happened. And then now we launch our own, thing, and we're getting leads from that. But
Our cost per.
but this goes back again to why people actually hate you. He didn't even know. Our intention was to do business with him, but he didn't want to do it because he thought that we're going to steal his idea. We knew what to do. God, it's the internet.
And I'll say this, right? There's a lot. I don't know if anybody in here heard me say this, but there are people in the industry that just don't like me and Sal. They don't like us. Why? Because we provide services. And what services do we provide? We provide the services that we use, that we believe in. We're not going to sit here and say, hey, use Mojo and I'm using ZenCall. You know what I mean? That to me, I don't think that's very ethical. You know, but to them, it's unethical that we have a digital company, a pay-per-click company. We have the best pay-per-click company in the entire country. Why do we have the best pay-per-click? Raise your hand if you've spent $1 million on pay-per-click in the past 3 years. Raise your hand if you spent $500,000 last year on pay-per-click. That's why we have the best pay-per-click company in the country. Because of our research and development. You know what I mean? And that's how Steve asked me, he's like, so what separates you guys from a lot of people? We're willing to spend the money to try it out. You know, we're willing to spend, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 to, before I say, hey, Max, let me run your pay-per-click campaign, I got to make sure that I know what the hell I'm doing, because your reputation is everything you got in this business, right? And word travels fast. So you got the geo flips and the light marks out there that, they might do a good job for 30 days and then it's just a shitty rest of your campaign and then you shut it down, That's not what we're about. We're about long-term, longevity, long-term relationships. So a lot of folks don't like us because we've been able to create all these services, thanks to the wisdom and, and the grace of God. We've been able to create all these services and offer them at a great. GeoFlip charges you 50% of your spend if they do pay-per-click for you.
And they own the campaign.
And they own the campaign.
That's right.
How many of you want to know about pay-per-click? Okay.
Let's do it without bringing names.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, some companies, GeoFlip, charges you 50% of your spend, and what's the name of your company? On the brand side. Net cash offer, right? So with him, let's just say Jesse's spending $20,000 a month with GeoFlip. He's not earning any type of credibility with Google. You know why? Because it says geoflip.com/net cash offer. It's not netcashoffer.com paying Google directly, so Google's just never going to know you. You're only building GeoFlip's credibility. You see what I'm saying? With your own money, and they're charging you 50% of your spend. You spend 20, they charge you 10. So this is why some of these companies out there are just disgusting, and we created our own services because we had no choice.
So I want to say something real quick about who's doing RVM here. Okay, very few people, guys, use RVM.
Why are they not doing RVM?
I want to know why, actually. Yeah, that's a good question. So, guys, RVM is ringless voicemail, and I'm sure you've got those. You got robocalls. That was hot a few years back. And when you answer the phone, like, "Hi, this is Lisa, and I want to give you a cruise, blah 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 blah," and and you hang up, right? The robocalls are dead now. So ringless voicemail is the hot new thing. So what happens is your phone gets a voicemail and you listen to it, and if you're interested, you decide to call back. That's what RVM is. And I don't know what that is. Swing? That sounds sling. Okay.
I can show them what it sounds like.
Sling. Okay.
So this is what an RVM sounds like.
Well, I want to drop a good golden nugget there because before they do it. So if you haven't started it, it's good. Because a lot of people start it the very, very first month. No, hold on. Are we? I don't know. Because
but why did you talk about RVM?
Because you said, okay, I want to talk about this because. No, I'll tell you why. Because they were talking about like trying out, and then I have a purpose because you said something, it triggered this something. Okay. So, no way. No more. No more. Okay.
Was that for you?
It's definitely not for me. Okay, so RVM. So what happens is when you're cold calling or you're RVMing, that's why I said it. Remember, you need to switch out your number because if you cold called and you have great success the very first month and you thought you're crushing it and then the very next month or the month after that they start declining, It's not because everybody else is doing it, because they've been doing it for years. It's actually because your number just got burnt.
Scam likely.
Scam likely. Have you seen that before?
Do not answer the possible.
Who's seen that before? Oh, you guys plugged that into your Mojo, right? That same call around number. Guess what that number is? Spam likely after a few hundred calls that month. So I suggest that you replace your number every 30 days to 45 days, depending on how many calls you make. Because that number itself, and I'll get to you real quick, that number actually gets picked up. It's not even the software itself. It's not even CallRail. It's not even Mojo. No one. It's actually the cell phone provider. I don't know, my cell phone's there. The cell phone provider actually picks up on that and knows that this is a solicitation number. So, what do you have to do? You're going to have to switch that number out. The DID number out. So if you have a call around number, which you love Mojo, keep using Mojo, but switch that call around number every 30 days because it's going to be saying spam likely. And guess what happens there? Are you going to miss out on calls? The same thing happens for RVM. Same thing happens for voice broadcast. So this is, no one in the industry will ever tell you about this because they haven't dropped over 1 million messages or over 1 million calls in less than 2 weeks. We'll tell you this because we do that. We literally broke Podio. Last month, Podio broke for us.
Globiflow.
Well, Globiflow broke for us because of that. Because we had so much going on.
5 million actions.
So, regardless. So if you want to take the best thing of cold calling, forget the script, forget the tonality because we talk about this. We talk about all that. But what's most important, you want people to you want people to actually answer the phone call. You can't get them to answer a phone call if it says spam likely. And guess how many people talk about this?
First I've heard of it.
Okay, well, there you go. We figured that out a year ago. And we've told people about it a year ago, but we weren't on air or whatnot. So I'll answer your question real quick, but Victor?
So ZenCall automatically gives you that DID, correct?
ZenCall actually gives, you can choose multiple DIDs and you can actually set a renewal every X amount of days.
And if it's RPM, what service for numbers do you recommend?
RVM we use Lead Blast Pro.
Okay.
That's different. That's completely different.
Already has that in the system.
Lead Blast Pro you can have.
For a dollar.
Yeah.
It's $1 number.
Yeah.
Lead Blast Pro.
Question there?
How many RVMs are you dropping per week and how much manpower are you
We drop 50 to 70 a day.
How much manpower?
1,000.
Do you use for calls that come back?
How many calls get back? We actually have a whole team of that. We have 7 people that handle that. We have people that handle that. You have lead manager and follow-up before it actually hits our company, our actually lead acquisition managers, because we send so many. It's really hard to handle that.
How many did you say?
50,000 to 70,000 a day.
Is your pay-per-click service available for hire?
Absolutely. MagnusDigital.com.
What is it again?
Magnus.
Kind of like the title agency.
Yeah.
MagnusDigital.com. Absolutely.
I'll be in contact. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Sal, could you talk about, your journey through wholesaling and everything else, all the different modalities you've had for contacting sellers? You guys obviously, Carlos is talking about starting with bandit signs. You obviously moved through a lot of different iterations. Do you want to talk about those modalities and which ones work best for you?
Oh, absolutely. So since Carlos is in acquisition, I would love for him to talk about this first, the ups and downs, and then what we went through. Then we'll transition to me after that. Is that fair? Okay.
Okay, so you completely went off subject. I was talking about pay-per-click, and I will get to that. I don't know why you switched it. So and let me tell you why.
We're trying to fit everything.
It's only 6 o'clock. The reason, guys, okay, our number 1 marketing strategy is pay-per-click. Our number 2 marketing strategy is cold calling, and our number 3 marketing strategy is mail, direct mail. So that's why I'm a firm believer in pay-per-click. And I'll be quite honest with you, Alex was killing. He's still killing on the cold call side. Now he does a little, he does all kinds of different things. He's doing pay-per-click. He's doing different avenues. But for the longest time, I would say for about a year and a half, we had the worst time cold calling. We were using Filipinos, and you got to be on the Skype calls with them, and you got to train them, and they don't tell you when someone misses work, and they put somebody else in there, and you know the culture is different, and the time zone's different, right? So we got we were very frustrated, and you know, like I said, last year was our most successful cold calling year. I don't know if it was 85 or 90 deals from cold calling, just from cold calling alone. But we finally were able to have some success with cold calling.
What type of volume are you doing on cold calls to get those numbers? In other words, outbounds and all that kind of stuff?
So our agents, we have 25 agents for ourselves, and our agents make 800 to 1,000 dials per day. 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, you know what I mean?
Outbound on the dialer?
Excuse me?
That's outbound on the dialer?
That's outbound.
Since he's patting my balls.
I know. I saw that.
So outbound on the dialer, 850 to 1,000 a day per agent?
800 to 1,000. Yeah, they work 8 hours. Yeah, they work 8 hours. Mr. Jesse?
About 6 hours of dial time, I'd say, give or take.
The what now?
About 6 hours of dial time.
Well, no, actually, they're supposed to actually have 8 hours of dial time. Yes, because they have, so they work, they have a lunch, you know, like it's like a regular job, you know, so they have a lunch, and that's when they take their break, which we built a cafeteria for them and bought a microwave and got a fridge, like we did the whole thing, you know, and they actually do 8 hours of dial time. And I'll tell you what, they're in Mexico. They're where I'm from. You know, my brother, you know, he gave me the connection there, and it just became history. But I'll tell you what, as far as cold calling goes, you got to make sure that your contact percentage is always above a 10%. So with thecallgeeks.com, what we do is we send reports every single day, letting people know where they are in their data, right? It's like, hey, your contact percentage is a 15. Great, you're fine. You don't need any data at this time, right? Because if your contact ratio is down, then guess what else is going to be down? And your leads are going to be down for sure. So there's a lot of components that go into cold calling. It's not just picking up the phone, having a VA pick up the phone and make a phone call. There's a lot,
Where are you getting your leads from?
The what now?
Where are you getting the leads from?
Like the raw data, list source, Rebo Gateway, Atom Data, Property Radar.
How are you getting it at 15%? Who are you using?
With what?
15% contact ratio.
15%?
Yeah.
Are you talking about
15?
Well, I mean, so you got to, guys, data is your foundation. How many of you guys use TLO? How many of you guys use needtoskip.com? How is it for you? It's good? Was it you? Was it someone else? You? Good? You? Good? You?
It's honestly, it's more expensive than DataZap, but it's 100 times better.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll say this, needtoskip.com. Need2toskip.com. Needtoskip.com. So this is what I'll say. Your data is your foundation, right? Your data, if you want to be cheap and pay for cheap data,
DataZap.
like DataZap, no. What?
So DataZap, think about it as Mojo
That's a
reverse
bro. That's a
lookup.
rabbit hole. That's
No,
that's
Mojo
like
reverse
that's like
lookup,
Skip Genie.
like how shit Mojo reverse
okay.
lookup is. That's what DataZap
So,
is.
guys, if you are going to be cheap on your data, save your money. Don't cold call. Don't send mail. You know what I mean? Because your data is your foundation. Your agents cannot perform to their maximum capacity if you don't have solid data. The data is the foundation. Period.
When I started, I'm on a budget. I was trying to save money. Once I started using Need to Skip, is when I started seeing results.
How many deals have you locked up since?
Just 2, 3, but
How much have you made?
about 30 grand, 40 grand.
But he's doing
About 30 grand. That's full time?
No, part time.
Okay. Is that good for part time?
Yeah.
How long have you used it?
How long? What?
How long has he used it?
3 months?
3 months, and I guess any difference from what you used last?
Yeah, with DataZap, I wasn't really. Yeah, the contact rate is much higher.
So he's talking about DataZap. DataZap is like the reverse lookup in Mojo, which is, I mean,
Somebody had a question here, right?
Yeah, are you guys still using a macro to
separate the numbers?
Yes.
Of course.
So
Go ahead.
how many numbers do you give
Oh.
per caller to call in a month?
Up to 10. No, well, what do you mean how many numbers?
Do you give like each agent like 5,000 numbers? to call
So
them?
the sweet spot for every 3 agents, I would say it's about it's 10,000 prospects. It's not even numbers.
But
It's,
that's not what I get it. But
You answer.
so you're going granular. So don't worry about how much we give each. We never give a capacity to each. You don't want them to be limited. If they're dialing within their hours, let them dial. So we throw it. That's why Mojo fucking sucks. You have to upload a list that you give a caller to call from. No, we throw it in this data dump. So for our company, this is what we do. And I don't know if you can use it for your company. We have 3 different lists in every market. Every market has 3 different lists. There's a hot list, there's a warm list, and there's a cold list. And you can identify this as you please. Pre-foreclosure, tax default, notice of default, all those are considered hot. Warm lists, code violations, things like that. Cold list is the, equity list, which is you have hundreds of thousands of records there. So we have 3 different lists that callers call from. I don't care how many calls they make, they call from that campaign. Our best cold callers call from the hot list. Our mediocre cold callers call the warm list. Our okay cold callers call the cold calls, which is the list that you can identify. So don't limit them with a number. Just dump it in the data dump and they'll just dial. And guess what happens? If you don't get enough, hit recycle. Recycle the same list over and over again. Or upload a new list. The same list that you uploaded 3 months ago, upload it again.
Tell them how long, like data, how long does it last?
So the data, guys, statistically, numerically, you have between 3 and 5%
That you lose over 12.
irrelevancy of a list. Meaning, if you download a list today, 365 days from now, between 3 and 5% will actually be bad. Bad leads, whether sold, wrong numbers, you name it. That's the irrelevancy percentage of a list. So if you have 100, you have between 3 and 5 of them going bad. If you have 10,000, do the math. And guys, we've done our research. So,
Yeah, 605.
oh, okay.
What's up, brother?
What's up?
So, I've done 25 wholesale deals on the side because I fix and flip.
Yeah.
And I made about 1.5 mil last year, kind of just did direct mail. I pulled a lead list from my buddy in Seattle. I was paying like $1,500 to $2,000 a month for the leads. And then I was mailing them out for about $3 to $5 grand a month. And we closed 15 solid deals on the first phone call.
Seattle?
I closed them.
In Seattle or here?
Well, I did here.
Okay.
And then we closed 5 in Seattle. Much higher dollar amounts, like half.
Oh my God! It's
Yeah.
your average spread there's probably like 60K or something.
Yeah, Seattle is huge.
Seattle's amazing.
It was like 300,000 the lady made on it. She built 4 townhomes. She made $1 million in like 9 months. But my question is, how are they like on the phone calls when you're closing? When you see more results like the first or second call, are you getting the close right away? Or are you following up nonstop?
Yeah.
I'm just curious how you're closing them, because for me, in the first call, if I don't close it, the second or third is like 30%. But the first call is like the most motivated.
So,
There you go.
I'll say this: if it's a pay-per-click, and you're a good closer, you should be able to close them on the first phone call. He's my witness. Maybe. Yeah, he's my witness. If you become really good at closing deals, your acquisition guy should be able to close a pay-per-click. It doesn't get any hotter than a pay-per-click lead. This is why they cost in Phoenix, about $105 cost per conversion, aka cost per lead. What?
That's like super hard to get for 105, but yeah.
Well, our guy gets it for like 105. Your average here is probably 150 to 200. Again, it varies in markets. You know what I mean? If you're in San Francisco, you're between $300 and $400 cost per conversion, which means cost per lead. Okay. So if you are a great closer, you should be able to stay on the phone with this person for 15 to 20 minutes minimum, right? Bill, 80% of that conversation should be rapport. On CallRail, 70% should be them talking. And you can see those metrics. 70% is them talking, 30% is you, right? And you're building rapport, and then you get down to business. You know, I always say this, there's 4 phases to an acquisition.
Let's not go over real quick. Guys, use CallRail here, right?
CallRail, who uses CallRail? Don't use Google, use CallRail, guys, okay?
Use Call. So in CallRail, explain to them who's talking what. Like this.
Well,
you skim through it, but this is important.
Okay, just to finish up on his answer. Pay-per-click, yes. First phone call, second phone call, max. If you don't get them on that, they're gone. Somebody else bought it. They called us, they called Keegley, they called somebody else. You know what I mean? And that's why it's important for you to keep them on the phone. And that's why it's important to solve that problem right there and then, because I'll tell you this much, they don't want to spend another 15 to 20 minutes with the next company if you can, provide that service right there and then. Okay? Cold call is exactly that. It is a cold lead. It is a cold lead. And Alex will tell you, Alex does this 10 days of hell where he gets a cold call lead and they just bombard this person for like 10 straight days. How many times a day? 2 to 3 times a day, 10 times a day. Mailer, yeah, I would say, you're probably not going to close a mailer unless it's like some crazy urgency, right? You'll probably do between your 3rd and 8th contact when it comes to mail. But again, pay-per-click's the hottest. I would say mail the second, the second. What would be the second? Cold call is hotter than mail?
Right now for us? Yes.
Well, for the general person, I would say mail. See, you always want, when someone's calling you, right, generally it's going to be hotter than you calling somebody else, period. Period. That's just the name of the game. So,
dollar-wise conversion rate?
He's just talking about, you're talking about straight closing, right? Like contact.
It's just me.
Contact to close ratio.
I was closing, like you said, it was either the first or second time.
And what was this mail? Was this mail?
I did straight direct mail.
This is amazing.
And I closed 25 deals.
There you go.
I was getting probably.
I can only imagine if you did pay-per-click, it would be ridiculous. It would.
I was closing like 70%.
Yeah.
First call, second call. Second call, I go to the house. I call them from the house. I take a video.
Yeah.
And they blow up my phone.
Amazing.
There, and I would just be like, I'll give you 150. Like, okay, cool. Because I already knew the numbers, the comps, whatever. I know the rehab because I do it all the time.
Did you target certain lists or just everybody call it?
I got them from my buddy in Seattle.
Here,
I literally have a company in Seattle that just gave me the leads, and that's why I was closing 70-80%. I even had my friend got to the point where he's like, dude, we should do this in every state because I was just closing them on the phone. And I made more than fixing flipping. I made 1.3 mil, wholesaling 1.5. It's insane.
Overhead is less.
So
Less than a year, 9 months.
I'll tell you, and just to answer your question, PPC, a great closer like yourself, 1 out of every 5, it's a 5-to-1 lead to close ratio. A good closer, you're talking 1 out of every 17, and then a mediocre closer, you're talking 1 out of every 30. Okay? Now, our guys are closing cold calling deals 1 out of every 33 leads. So if you run, this is all numbers, right?
It's not Arizona only, by the way.
Yeah, and it's a mixture of, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Vegas, Arizona, Bakersfield, just different markets we're in, right? So this is all a numbers game. So we're like, okay, so every 66 cold call leads, we should be able to have 2 deals. You see what I'm saying? It just becomes a repetitive machine, a repetitive number. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I just want to expand it.
Tell them
I got you.
What do you mean by that?
The what? And just to explain on CallRail has a feature that it actually gives you the breakdown of the percentage that you were talking and the percentage that the prospect was talking. So that's very powerful too, because you can not only analyze that on your own, but you can also train your guys on, hey, why did you talk for 70% of the time, and the customer, Cedric. So yeah, CallRail, we've been using CallRail since we started. And real quick, my man here had a question, then I'll get to you.
Well, I was just gonna ask because Alex said when you call 10 days of hell and you call 3 times a day, do you call once 3 times or do you call 3 times 3 times?
No. So you call once, and then you call again, and then you call again, like periodically throughout the day.
So if they don't answer, you don't call them again until later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe, is that correct? Okay. Excuse me?
Are you leaving a message every time?
No, we're not. We're not. I'll tell you. So John Derby here, he helps us out with acquisitions now, and I literally tell him like, okay, make a phone call. They don't answer. Call again. They don't answer. Now this is somebody that this is a lead that's already in our system. Make a phone call. They don't answer. Make another phone call, right? And in case they pick up, you oh sorry, I forgot to leave a voicemail, so I was just calling back. And then I tell them to shoot a text. So, I mean, again, you got to be very persistent in this game because everybody's trying to get to the same people. And we always say this: it's people, data, speed. People, data, speed. That is what this industry consists of. Other question?
I have one. Could you elaborate a little bit why you said virtual wholesaling is not sexy?
Well, what'd you say? You think it's sexy?
No, you said it was not.
No. Jesse thinks it's sexy. Oh, thank you. So, the reason
Not sexy then. There
Wait.
you go. What are you talking
it's all right. This is why. Okay. We thought we were some badasses when we started, and we were one of the first pioneers to go to Vegas, and then Jared followed, and then Jesse followed. They're like, oh, these guys are killing in Vegas. We should go there, So now we're going to be a little more quiet with the markets that we go after. But I'm just joking. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, but the reason why, in my opinion, it's not very sexy, because I feel like you should try to dominate your market, your own backyard, where you know every single inch of this place before you truly try to expand into some unknown territory.
I have a different opinion because we talk to mentees all the
But,
time.
and then the other thing is, how much of a better closer do you now have to be, right? Because now you're closing over the phone, like he's closing over the phone.
Not just that. Talk about people go to other markets. No, you go. I don't want to stop you because you're on a roll. People go to other markets because they fail their own fucking market. And they're like, oh, it's sexy. Let me go to other markets because other people are killing it. Well, dominate your market. If you're not dominating your market, okay, fine. Be virtual before you even start your market then. Like, don't say, okay, I'm starting here. Oh, I'm not getting as much as I want. It's tough, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to go somewhere else.
Be virtual in your own market first. And use that as practice.
I have people that, so the biggest advice I can give people, and we have mentees, and and I have love for our mentees, and the mentee, we only have 4. They all want to expand. National sounds sexy because I buy properties across the nation. How sexy is that? Yeah, it sounds sexy, but it's not. Dominate your own fucking market before you jump to some other market that you don't even know. And you know what happens? Most people want to do virtual. They do it in a market that they're next to it. Oh, I'm in Arizona. I'm going to do virtual in California. Why? Well, it's a few hours away from me. So no statistics, no numbers, no how much average deal size, no how much per deal, how much money you have to spend per deal matters, or just because it's close to you, right? So people get actually emotional with this now because it's close to them. Now, okay, I can make a trip there and visit fucking Shaniqua because I know her, and and whoever that is, Denise, or because it's close to me, and I'll party over there.
We have a few friends like that, and let me add to that.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll tell you this much. I'll give you. So you guys have to understand, as service providers, we know what every market's doing. Why? Because we provide cold calling services for Charlotte, Philly, Florida. We see all the lights, we see what's happening, you know what I mean? As pay-per-click guys, I know that, your average, like Seattle, right? Your average cost per click, your average cost per conversion there is anywhere from 80 to 90, but your average deal size is like 60 grand, right? So again, we get to see all this data, like imagine like how tempted we are, right? Shiny objects like, oh my God, look at this. This is $80 over here, and the average. We get to see all this data with everybody, these lights that are popping up everywhere, right? But you can't. You go to Philly, yeah, we can dominate Philly, but your average deal size there is probably anywhere from 11 to 13 grand. Why the hell would we want to be in Philly? You got to do 100 transactions to even break a mill. You know what I mean? So
we have people that are killing it in Alabama.
I got people in Alabama, some of our mentees. Oh, you know them, right? Keith and Lenny. Yeah. They do about $150K in Alabama a month.
And
now,
they were a two-man show doing
They were a two-man show.
Now they have a team.
They do pay-per-click. They do Call Geeks, and I think they sent some mail, right? And now, thank God, we have and they do RVM, AlabamaCashOffer.com. You know, this is something that we locked up for them on GoDaddy, and now they're running with it. They're doing great. Think about it this way: they're doing 150 grand in Alabama, but oh my God, they got to do like 30 deals every single month in Alabama to get the 150K. Wouldn't you rather do 5 deals in the Bay Area and make? Actually, he's in the Bay Area. Alex, how many deals in the Bay Area? What's your average deal size? If you don't mind sharing some of that data here. 60K assignments, right? So you do 10 deals in the Bay Area. I guess how much gross revenue did you just produce? 600,000. You do 10 deals in Arizona, you're over 100K. See? So be very, very careful and analytical before you expand to any market. You work with Tiffany, right? So she's one of our mentees.
Oh, you know.
And thank God, I mean, seems like you guys are doing pretty good, right?
Crushing it.
Yeah, and you're doing, you just started Call Geeks. You got a deal today from Call Geeks, and today was your first day with Call Geeks. You guys are doing RVM, and you guys got deals in RVM with Lead Blast Pro. And then, I don't even know how. 7 contracts last week in Columbus, Ohio. See? With RVM, leadblastpro.com.
Your company is still growing. Like it barely. Like I remember when we first
We
started. Like,
just helped them assemble it.
we laid out the personnel who handle what, and I remember how small the company is. That was like a few weeks ago.
So,
It's amazing. Yeah, we were on the phone.
yeah,
emailing
I remember.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, we have a question over there.
You can shut
How much should you be paying your mentees or your acquisition?
We paid mentees.
Or you pay them?
Wait, no, mentees are people we're mentoring. They pay
They
us.
pay us to mentor them.
So like, how does that work? How do you get people to just get these contracts for you for such cheap?
I think you're asking the wrong question, my friend.
Wait, what was that? Here, let's clarify. What was that?
So like, how do you? So the cold callers are cold call. They're the ones cold calling and everything. But then doesn't that go to?
You're talking about pay structure, company structure, pay structure, right? So our lead managers are $1,600, flat plus 3% of every deal. Our acquisition guys have tiers. They have 3 tiers of how much money they produce for the company, right? They do 8%, 9%, 10%. From 0 to $100,000 produced, they make 8%. From 101 to 120, it's 9%. From 121K plus, they make 10%. So that's how we break down our tiers.
If the lead manager steals it, brings it
Per month.
back to life to them?
Per month, not quarter, per month.
You ever thought about it in quarter?
Per month. People love short-term goals. We also do, if you, John, how much, if you land 3 deals in a week, how much money do you make on Saturday?
$500 bonus?
Cash.
That's called spiff, guys.
Yeah.
If you're in a car dealership, spiff money, cash money, they love that.
So,
Spiff money.
I mean, you gotta, those incentives, especially the short-term incentives, people love that. They love that,
I was
It-
gonna keep them 10% off every contract.
Yeah, but what's gonna keep you motivated for the next week, next month? See, we did that for a while.
Plus your overhead. The goal as a
Then
business
guess what?
owner is
You
to
gotta
keep
keep
your
them
overhead
motivated.
under 30%.
How do you keep people motivated? You have a culture. Our company has a culture. We have a gong, for God's sake. You know what a gong is? People hit the gong when they get a deal, and like music, rap music and whatnot. It's not very mature, but it's fun. Yeah. But
Arabic music.
no Arabic music. But you know what? Spiff money. In the car dealership, I remember seeing this. The manager walks down the floor and says, whoever sells this one bad unit that we've had for this many X amount of days, I will give him $300 cash on the spot. It doesn't matter if the deal went through or not, financing went through or not. They fucking sold the deal, they get $300 on the spot.
And I'll say this.
See, instant gratification.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the perceptionist world we live in, with the social media, everyone wants to be on the fucking jet, in a nice car and whatnot.
You were just on a jet. You're a hypocrite. I have the pictures to prove it.
He has a Lamborghini to prove it.
You have an Aventador. And a ghost.
I pay my dues, guys. Anyway, so
So
you know what? They want instant gratification. So what instant gratification? A thank you could be instant gratification. money can be instant gratification.
Dinner.
A fucking dinner, yes.
Yeah.
The movie ticket, you name it. But you're gonna do the fucking pay structure over and over and over and over again. That's redundant.
Real quick, Andres?
I just want to say, and I mean, definitely I've seen Carlos grow and Sal grow. It's amazing to see, I know when we met him, seeing the way they're spending this money. I think what's separating a lot of people, it's they're spending the money. And some people, I think myself as a company owner, I mean, I've been scared to spend that kind of money. I would rather invest it in rehab because that's how it started. And I think what you guys done great is you put God in your business and you're not afraid to put all this money inside your business. And that's why your business is growing so much.
You know why? Thank you so much by recognizing this.
I highly respect Andres. He's definitely, I don't know if you guys know Andres, but he's an OG in this business. And you know, it doesn't matter if he doesn't spend money because whatever he does has been working, thank God. You know, he's been around the game for a long time. And I always give respect to those people. You know, there's a lot of people in this game that, you know, like Andres, you got the Delgadillo brothers, you know, Jesse and Alex Sanchez. You know, there's people in this game that have been around, you know, they're OGs in the game, and you got to just, you know, you got to respect them no matter, you always got to show love and respect. I don't give a shit how big you think you are. You never talk shit about anybody, and you just give them the respect. So I appreciate you, bro, and thank you so much for that, Andres, and keep doing your thing, bro. Much love.
And guys, to elaborate what Andres was saying, guys, if we lost every single penny today, it's okay. Think about this. If you had your leg broken and you know this leg is going to heal, just knowing that the leg is going to heal, you know you're going to run again. Right? So no matter what happens today, if we lose every single penny we own, every single car, every house, whatever we own, it's okay. Because the knowledge we have, it's okay to bring us, it's gonna bring us back up where we want to be at. And that's what it is, guys. Knowledge is power. And you know what? People always talked about this when I was young. I'm like, people are talking about going to school and whatnot. You know, my family always wanted me to go to school. I didn't go to school. I bamboozled them, and I told them I was going to go to school when I was ready after business. But you know, they don't know this. I'm not going back to school. So,
How many college hours do you have?
none.
You seem
So,
like a very educated man.
I signed up for college. I never went. But you know what? It's okay, because I had that knowledge, that street knowledge, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that I can make it out here. So if I lose it all by foreseeing circumstances, if you're into book reading, please read Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon
That's a
Hill.
fucking amazing book, guys.
Yeah.
That book is amazing. Anyway, if you lose everything, and then you lose it all right there and then, you should be smart enough to know that you have enough information. Of course, throughout your past life, you can't be partying your whole life and saying, I'm gonna bounce back. No, I mean, like, you're here for a reason. Obviously, you guys want to learn more. So you're gonna be here. And then next time, God forbid, if anything happens, you have this much information to put you further to the future, for a better place. So I'm okay.
You will actually learn. And the guy that we're bringing in, I consider this guy a mentor. And did we surpass him, Nick Reese, with our operation? Yeah, he still runs a very slim operation, 3 to 5 deals a month, and that's what makes him happy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you what, this guy. He wrote a book called Success from Scratch. Literally, this guy lost it all when, 08 happened, and now he's back up again. And if he loses it all, he'll figure out a way to come back. And once you have that blueprint in your mind, that is forever yours. Thank God, right? But there was another question, sir?
Well, I just want to ask, how many times you call a list before you get a new one?
You don't. You keep getting a new list.
But you just add to it.
List.
You just add to it.
You recycle the.
Yeah.
This is the reason I said data dump, because it's literally is a data dump. It's your data dump that you keep dumping into it.
Yeah. You
That
never
add more
get rid of it.
Because remember, you can call someone, and we had a deal that we just made crazy amount of money. I don't know, 68,000, whatever, or 70 some thousand, or 68 times we followed up with that person. Follow up. That's just straight from our system. Someone's calling, leaving a voicemail, and then we made crazy amount of money. Do you think if that was a list
That way to give up on?
that would have said, okay, call for 90 days, would that work? Because that was over a year, by the way. It surpassed a year by that time, and we made that money. So what are you going to do? If I told you, call that person 30 times and you're going to make $100,000, what would you do? Okay. But now you don't
We
know
got
that.
time, Sal.
You don't know what you don't know.
Sal, we got time for 3 more questions. We're running out of time.
3 more questions? Okay. Well, we said we were going to pay for the rest, but it's cool.
I don't know.
3 more
if we're
questions.
allowed. I think they got a business to run here. So.
Okay, I got you.
What's up?
Any advice I can give to anybody here? These guys work harder than anybody else I've ever seen. You know, I've been with them for a few months now, and I can tell you right now, Carlos, I give you a lot of credit. Sal, that guy is in the office more than I am, and I'm their employee. He works harder than
Team member.
anybody else I know, and work ethic really has an impact on everything that you do.
Thank you.
Don't get comfortable, guys. If you're in this for the money, you'll stop working hard very early. You make your first whatever 50, 100K, whatever, and you might get complacent, and that we're not in this for the money. Thank God, because if we were, then we would not work as hard as we still do to this day. And he knows. He knows we lead by example, and we lead from the front. So.
I can't work hard if the people I look up to are being lazy, and they're not. They're great workers.
And yeah, thank you, by the way. Any other questions before Mr. Steve has to wrap it up for us? Is there any resources that we can tell you? You say, hey, again, the stuff that we use is the stuff that we promote. You know what I mean, sir?
Is there any way of finding out how much equity is in a house?
You can get close to it. So the problem is that the most accurate data you can get is list source. CoreLogic is the biggest data in the world. So when I still own a car dealership, and when I ran my credit, it was through CoreLogic. But the problem is, I'm gonna give you a secret. So there is something called negative equity. Who here knows about negative equity? 1, 2, 3. Don't hide it. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 people. So because CoreLogic, the way they aggregate their data, they actually collect their data based on the loan initiated. You don't know how much that person actually made payments. You don't know what that loan is actually transferred or not. So when you're downloading data and saying, hey, I want 3% plus equity, and downloading that, what does happen? Right? You're gonna miss out on those people that actually refinanced, that actually made extra payments. So there is a list that everybody have a lot of success with. Maybe now it's saturated, but still, it's called the negative equity list. It's literally not negative equity. So you're still calling a lot of shit leads. Don't get me wrong, because cold calling is a lot of shit leads. But then negative equity is the leads that no one else taps into. So the way to be a contrarian is doing something that no one else is doing, right? So the negative, why would someone else call someone that has no money in their house? Right? And they're a right man? No. But no. You're going to try to find that needle in the haystack. Negative equity, it's not sexy, but you are going to find some gems in there.
Crazy deals.
Because people, maybe they have paid their house. You know what's crazy? My dad is on the negative equity list right now. I paid off their mortgage last month. It was supposed to be a surprise, but it got ruined by the fucking company. It was supposed to be a Christmas surprise, but it's not.
Yo, so real quick, guys, for those of you who don't know what an RVM sounds like, this is kind of what it sounds like, okay?
Hey, this is John. You might have missed my call, and I know this is a bit random, but I was calling you in regards to your property to see if you're interested in a cash offer. If you are, please call me back as soon as possible, and if you're not, please disregard the message. Thank you.
That's what a Ringless voicemail sounds like. It's very simple. Plus, you can select 1 or 2 if you right. So, finish up with that, because Steve's kicking us out.
Yeah, Steve, go ahead. All right. Well, again, so biggest example, my parents. I paid off their mortgage. They have no mortgage, but in list source, they have negative equity probably because they own more than the house is worth because they bought it. Guess what? In 07, right? When the highest price is up there.
So
next question.
Guys, I'll just say this. If you don't leave here without asking that one question that can change your business or your mindset. All right, so if you have a question, please ask it now. You know, I remember I don't know where you guys are as far as business goes, but I clearly remember being in a seat where I had a bunch of questions and I needed them answered right there and then, so I can implement that into my business. So, go ahead.
So like, let's say I call a foreclosure person, he's losing his house, he's been paying it for a while, he only owes $80,000, the house is worth $250. Do you guys ever get a deal where they just say, just pay my loan off?
All the time. But
You're a good person.
you're definitely a realtor. But yeah, you're definitely a realtor. Yeah.
Be a good person,
Yeah.
buddy.
But I'll tell you what Sal and I do. We don't just do that. Like, we make sure that they walk out with cash. You know, because then morally you just don't feel good, and that's bad energy. Excuse me?
How do you know how much to
I mean,
Ask questions.
ask questions. You know, you ask the right questions, you'll get every single answer. I want to move here. I need this much money. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I mean, Andres knows,
You
so.
fulfill what their needs are. That's what building
Yeah.
rapport is. Building rapport is not just saying, hey, I like you. It's actually fulfilling their needs.
So, guys, and we'll close it out by saying this. I want to thank all of you that continue to show us love and support. You know, we really are very thankful. And to be quite honest with you, my people here, they're from LA. These guys are, they flip multi-million-dollar properties out in the LA area. They literally flew here, right? They flew here just to hang out.
For the same day.
Just to hang out, and we made them stay another night. A lot of people would have said, "Oh, yeah, okay, they just leave tonight. I got two little, girls at home. I'm gonna go." I said, "No, stay another night. Let's take you to dinner." Me and Sal genuinely just love people. We love, that. We love people, and that's where it ends. So if we could ever be of assistance to you in any single way, definitely reach out to us, and we will try to do our best to help. We try to, some of these guys, we try to do our best to help. Every time I see one of them, I try to give them a little gym, even though I'm in a hurry, right? Yeah. I'm in a hurry. I'll say, yeah, man, do this, and this. All right, I got to go. You know what I mean? So we love people. Like, we absolutely love people. So thank you guys for, like, all the support and all the love. And, God willing, huh? Okay. All right, I'm just going to finish up with the prayer if you guys don't mind, okay? Dear Lord, thank you so much for giving us the platform, Lord, to just talk to my fellow brothers and sisters here, and in an attempt to, hopefully, God willing, if it is in your will, to improve their lives, most importantly, change their mindset or improve their mindset, improve their spirituality, improve their spiritual maturity, and God willing, with whatever knowledge was dropped here today, if it is your will and they are on your path, to improve their lives financially, Lord. In your name we pray, amen.